But I want to welcome everybody to our Sunday UCDC Zoom service. My name is Kathleen, and I'm the platform assistant for today. And we're very fortunate to welcome a new speaker today. Her name is Rev Ramona Harper. She's coming from Dallas, Texas. And she is very, she has quite a bio. Let's see, she's a licensed Unity teacher, and she's also a Unity prayer chaplain trainer. She's being trained with Leilani Bird. And she's a practitioner and minister with the Divine Science Church organization. And she works at a Unity church in Dallas. She does some pretty amazing stuff there, so helping out there. So anyway, welcome. And then also we have back Alan Naylor, and Alan has been with us for years, and we always enjoy him. And so I'm glad you're able to visit us in your video too, Alan. So thank you for being here. For my closing prayer, I have chosen a poem by Mary Oliver, and it's called When I Am Among the Trees. When I am among the trees, especially the willows and the honey locusts, equally the beech, the oaks and the pines, they give off such hints of gladness. I would almost say that they save me, and daily. I am so distant from the hope of myself, in which I have goodness and discernment, and never hurry through the world, but walk slowly and often. Around me the trees stir in their leaves and call out, stay a while. The light flows from the branches, and they call again. It's simple, they say. And you too have come into the world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light and to shine. Amen.
Child of God, there's something about you the world can't understand. Something about your smile, the way you laugh and play, the way you give of yourself for anyone who needs a helping hand. Something about the way you live, you love, you pray. What keeps you going? What keeps your face a-glowing, even when the going gets rough? What keeps you steady when others are ready to give up because they've had enough? It is Christ living within you, Christ living within you, and the life we see is a reflection of His love and His grace. It is Christ living within you, Jesus Christ living within you. So when I look at you, oh Child of God, I see Jesus in your face.
Community Center, DC. I am truly honored to be with you today, and I'm grateful for this divine opportunity to give the message this morning. I recently watched an interview with Harrison Ford on CNN's Who's Talking to Chris Wallace? Maybe some of you saw it. Chris Wallace interviewed Harrison Ford about his incredible career as an actor. Ford is now 81 years old, and so he's been in the movie business for decades. However, his best-known role that he's been playing for more than 30 years is Indiana Jones. The first movie came out in 1981, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Some of you might remember it and might have seen it. And Ford just released his latest saga about this adventurous archaeologist, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. You might have seen that too. I think it just came out. So how's that grab you for a title that's sure to have fans flocking to the movie theaters? I understand they digitally de-aged Harrison Ford for the film, so just saying. And I remember going to New York many years ago myself with a dear friend who was just dying to see one of the latest Indiana Jones films on the big screen in New York City, and I went with her. And I'm sure there are some of you listening to this talk who are also big fans. What really amazed me, however, when I was watching this TV interview was the Indiana Jones character. Indiana is always searching for exotic lost treasures and high adventure. And he's not afraid to put himself into all sorts of dangers to find it. But now going beyond movie marquees and film star adventures, it dawned on me that we too are always searching for something all the time. And I believe this search for love is our big adventure. And that's what I want to talk about today, man's quest for love and just why we want it so much. Well, I came across proof about just how serious man is about finding love. And I'm going to share some of that with you. Did you know that in 2022, some 366 million people worldwide use dating sites and apps to find a love relationship? And it's estimated that there are over 8,000 competitive online sites, dating sites, where people are trying to meet somebody in hopes of finding romance. The global market for online dating is close to $4,500 million. That's a lot of people out there looking for love. And here are a few more interesting tidbits about man's search for love. There are many forms of literature, but the best-selling book genre is, you guessed it, romance. And some estimate that there are millions of songs, poems, novels, dramas that explore love in a variety of ways. For example, 3 decades ago, Gary Chapman, a 50-year-old Southern Baptist preacher, wrote The 5 Languages of Love. You might have read it. Do you know this book has sold over 20 million copies, been translated into foreign languages, and has been at the top of the New York Times bestseller list since 2007. So we're even trying to learn how to speak in love languages. And did you ever ask yourself, why are there so many love songs? Most of the songs that exist are about love in some way. There was a study on the psychology of music that determined that about 67% of the lyrics in every song in every decade since the 1960s were somehow about love. I'm just proving my case, folks. I think these are some pretty outstanding and astounding facts about how important love is to mankind. So what's up with this search for love? Well, scripture can tell us so much about ourselves. In 1 John chapter 4, verse 16, we read, "And God has given us his spirit as proof that we live in him and he lives in us." And God is love. God has given us his spirit and his spirit is love. There it is. There's the answer. Since man is an expression of the Spirit of God, which is love, we are always searching and trying to be the reality of what we are. That's the reason for this eternal quest for love. So let's talk more about this. Many spiritual teachers and spiritual leaders have written extensively about man and love, and I would like to share my understanding of some of their ideas. Charles Fillmore, for example, Unity's co-founder, says that love is one of the 12 powers of man. The 12 powers are abilities of the mind that come in the form of divine ideas from spirit, our source. Fillmore says that love is written in our hearts. It is the universal desire or the attraction to the oneness that we all are. Love is our natural sense of harmony. Love is the consciousness that fills every plane of existence. Love is known to be the highest energetic vibration in the universe. Those are some of Charles Fillmore's ideas about love. So we come from this energy, and that's why we're always searching for it. We are the love we are seeking. Because there's an expansion in our personalities when we love ourselves and others. And there's a contraction in the soul whenever we are fearful or anxious. Marianne Williamson has written so eloquently about fear as being the opposite of love in Miracles. The issue with searching for love, however, is that the ego is the bridge between our spiritual self and our human self. And much of the time, man identifies himself as the bridge instead of the spiritual self. So this is the root cause of disharmony in the world and the failure to find the love that we already are. When we choose to be this false identity, we fail to see our oneness. We fail to live to our true nature as spiritual beings created in love. Life's challenges and obstacles are rooted in this sense of separation. And what are the consequences when we fail to love? Fear, hurt, anger are the results. Fear is rooted in separation. Hurt and anger are rooted in victimhood, but we're not separate. We are all part of the one life, the one divine mind. And this is a lifelong lesson that we strive every day to remember. And we suffer the consequences when we fail to realize this truth, that all is one. So the spiritual dilemma is that man creates suffering when the search for love is misaligned from truth, when the power of love moves in the direction of ill will instead of goodwill. And the spiritual dilemma for us today is that in our humanness, there are people and situations that make it seem almost impossible to love. For example, societal division and political polarization are at an all-time high. Yes, there's hate in our culture and the so-called culture wars that we're hearing about. There are enemies being created about nothing. Yes, we are witnessing a surge in racism, bigotry, and homophobia. War is raging as a result of this need for egoic power. Violence is being perpetrated against the innocent. Our young people are suffering from cyberbullying and harmful social media. And then there are our everyday personal situations, that boss who totally irritates you, the family member who you wonder however you wound up in the same family, the person you're in a love relationship, but whose flaws you just find hard to love, and him or her too sometimes, and the person who wronged you and whom you find hard to forgive. you're likely telling yourself, yeah, sometimes it's hard to love. However, it is written in 1 John chapter 4, verse 20. If we don't love people we can see, how can we love God whom we cannot see? So love we must, because the world desperately needs our love, particularly in these times. We have a role to play in our big adventure. Each of us can make a real difference in the world by adding our thoughts and our feelings to create a collective consciousness of love. That collective consciousness. Yes, love matters because love is always the answer. But we have to make a conscious choice to love. It's about conscious choice of focused intention. And that might require that we see things differently. It might require a major change in our attitude and perceptions. Eric Butterworth tells us that love seems to be something that we give to others. But he says that love is expressed in how we see one another. When we can see the divinity in everyone and respond accordingly, no matter what, this is love in action. So Butterworth, one of my favorite spiritual teachers, tells a story about the transcendent power of love in Practical Metaphysics, A New Insight into Truth, one of his many books that I like to share with you. And he writes, it seems that a writer wanted to write the story of a very unusual incident that a friend of his had been involved with, so he asked the man for his permission. The man felt sure that certain phrasings of the story might be embarrassing and even harmful to other people involved, and so he refused. He refused to let the writer friend publish the story, but the writer was furious because he'd already written the story. He put a lot into it, and he thought it was something very important and very good. And so he said some very unpleasant things, and he stomped off in anger. Now, this was disturbing to this particular man because his friendship meant a lot to him. They'd been friends for many years, and they really liked one another. And he struggled with his conscience because he wanted to do the right thing. He weighed in the balance in the process, and he felt tempted for a while to say, oh, well, I want my friendship more than anything. But he stood by his principle. After some time, he finally realized that he was going to have to get himself straightened out. He began to take frequent times in stillness to deal with himself. He forgot about the friend for a while, and this is what he realized. It took time and stillness to get himself centered in the consciousness of love. It took time to get himself filled with the realization that in this divine flow of love, there can be no separation, there can be no confusion, there can be no ill will, no hurt, no anger. And he waited until he could get himself completely at ease in this consciousness before he did anything further. And what did he do? He simply looked up from his consciousness, and he looked out, and he looked at his friend across the miles, and he saw him with eyes of love and saw him in the consciousness of love. He didn't try to send anything to him. He didn't try to project any thoughts. He didn't try to speak a lot of words across the miles. He just sat with him in the consciousness of love. And within 48 hours, a letter came saying that the writer friend had suddenly felt very foolish in his attitude. The talk led to his talking to a lawyer about it. And the lawyer told him that he might have opened himself to charges of libel if he had published the article as he'd wanted to. So he apologized. He thanked the man for committing himself to the process of truth, to holding to that which was right, and saving him from a great deal of unpleasantness, and saying incidentally, I'm so glad that our friendship has not been destroyed, and I can hardly wait to see you again. This story tells us that loving one another and ourselves is seen from being in the consciousness of love. This is how we love. And this story exemplifies the great love scripture, which is 1 Corinthians chapter 13, that says, love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. It does not demand its own way. It is not irritable, and it keeps no record of being wronged. It does not rejoice about injustice, but rejoices when the truth wins out. Love never gives up, never loses faith, is always hopeful, and endures through every circumstance. And I had a very recent experience that so divinely confirmed to me that I was supposed to be talking to you today about love. A few weeks ago, I was in the middle of writing today's message when something just told me to take a look at my deck of heart cards. It's out of the blue. I don't know if you've ever used them. Heart cards, and I have my deck here. Heart cards are played like a game, but they're really, can you see this? But they're really a way to get clarity and inspirational answers to burning questions to what might be going on in your life. So heart cards, they have a quality and a message on each one of them. Well, I hadn't looked at my heart cards in months, but out of the blue, I know it's spirit now. Something told me to pick up the deck and just pick out a card to get a message for the day. Well, out of this deck, and there's about 65 cards in this deck, I randomly picked the love card. And it reads, it is safe and natural to love and be loved. And as I extend my love freely, I receive love freely. Oh, my faith in God is complete. True story. This just happened to me. And so I say to you, God is love, and so am I, and so are you. So what are some ways that we can expand the consciousness of love that we already are? Mindfulness, just paying attention to our thoughts and whether they're centered in oneness instead of separation. Gratitude, giving thanks that we already have a consciousness of love. We just need to access it. Forgiveness, a consciousness of love really does not see anything to forgive because truth is forgiving love. Compassion, a consciousness of love sees the other or oneself as struggling to find the love that already resides within. It judges not. And perhaps most importantly, by asking ourselves, can I see this differently? Changing our attitudes and our perceptions opens the pathways of our hearts and our minds to love. And it's the power of will that gives us the ability to say yes or to no, or no to love. So what is your yes today? And what is your no? Because love is always the answer. We say yes to the divine idea of oneness and no to the idea that we could ever be separate from God or from one another. We say yes to seeing things differently and changing our perceptions. We say yes to being part of the collective consciousness of love. We say yes by affirming that love is always the answer. And so in closing, 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 8 gives us a message about love to live by. And it reads, finally, all of you have unity of spirit, sympathy, love for one another, a tender heart, and a humble mind. And so it is. In our meditation, you might want to sit up straight in your chair, spine erect, feet flat on the floor. And if you like, you might want to place your hands in your laps, palms faced up as if open and ready to receive. Now close your eyes and just begin to watch your breath, the inflow and the outflow of your breath. Watching our breath anchors us in the here and now, the right now moment. And allow your mind to begin to slow down. Now take a deep breath. Hold it for a few seconds. And as you release it, release any tension in your body or your mind. And as we prepare to enter the silence, let us contemplate pure consciousness. You are not the body. You are not the mind. You are the awareness, the consciousness that is beyond the body and the mind. You are spirit, whole and complete. And this spirit is the source of all there is. There is nothing to fear. And as we go deeper into our meditation, let us focus our attention and imagine that nothing exists in the room that you're in. Imagine that the room is completely empty of any objects, and there's nothing to distract you. Now remove your awareness from the physical body and turn your attention inwards. Become aware of any thoughts that might be going through your mind and just let them go. Just become the observer of these thoughts. Let them go like clouds in the sky moving on. And as you witness your thoughts in this way, notice how they begin to slow down. Now focus your attention on the idea of love. Create the thought, I am love. Repeat this thought gently and silently to yourself. I am love. Feel this love. Your mind is now filled with love. There's only love. Love within this quiet and stillness. Like water, it's fresh and still and clear. Your mind is now calm and still, clear, peaceful. You feel an easiness that is free from any tension. And there's a deep sense of contentment. And this is your true nature. In your natural state of love, be still, and enjoy being in the silence of calm serenity. With your eyes still closed, gently bring your awareness back to the room that you're in. And in divine realization, let us give thanks for perfect love as we silently affirm, I and the Father are one. All is well. I and the Father are one. All is well. And for this divine understanding, we are grateful and we give thanks. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes.
Some say love, it is a river that drowns the tender reed. Some say love, it is a razor that leaves your soul to bleed. Some say love, it is a hunger, an endless aching need. I say love, it is a flower, and you, its only seed. It's the heart afraid of breaking that never learns to dance. It's the dream afraid of waking that never takes a chance. It's the one who won't be taken, who cannot seem to give, and the soul afraid of dying that never learns to live. night has been too lonely, and the road has been too long, and you think that love is only for the lucky and the strong. Just remember, in the winter, far beneath the bitter snow, lies the seed that with the sun's love in the spring becomes the rose.
A closing prayer. I've taken a poem by Pablo Neruda called Keeping Quiet. Now we will count to 12, and we will all keep still. For once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. It would be an exotic moment. Without rush, without engines, we would all be together in a sudden strangeness. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm the whales, and the man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victory with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers and sisters in the shade, doing nothing. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. I want no truck with death. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving, and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. Perhaps the earth can teach us, as with when everything seemed dead and later proves to be alive. Now I'll count up to 12, and you keep quiet, and I will go.
We are so blessed here at Unity Center DC for extraordinary speakers, talented musicians who share with us each week their God gift, their message, their inspiration. And for us as recipients, I'd like you to take this moment and be grateful. If you want to express your gratitude by giving a gift to Unity Center DC, it's possible. We'll put up on the screen the options, but you can give online, you can mail a cash or a check to the address you'll see on the screen, so that we can continue this ministry, which has blessed us all. Thank you.